There is a moment in many relationships that most people fail to recognize. Nothing dramatic happens. There is no argument, no clear conflict. But something begins to change. The conversations become slightly shorter. The warmth becomes less natural. And the emotional energy that once flowed easily between two people begins to feel different. Most men respond to this moment the wrong way. They become anxious. They chase reassurance. They ask questions that come from fear rather than clarity. But emotionally disciplined men understand something important. When a relationship begins to shift, the real test is not what the other person does. The real test is how you respond to the change. Because the silent signs that appear before a relationship changes are not just warnings, they are opportunities. Opportunities to see the truth clearly, and opportunities to show the kind of calm strength that determines whether a relationship grows or quietly fades away. Today we are going to explore the silent sign that appears just before many relationships change, and why the way a man responds to that moment often defines the future of the connection. One of the earliest signs that a relationship is beginning to change is not conflict. It is distance, not physical distance, emotional distance. At first, it can be so subtle that most people barely notice it. The conversations still happen, the routines continue, but something feels different beneath the surface. The laughter becomes less frequent. The curiosity about each other's day slowly fades, and the effortless warmth that once existed begins to feel slightly forced. This moment is important because emotional distance rarely appears suddenly. It grows quietly, often through small misunderstandings, unspoken frustrations, or life pressures that slowly shift the emotional balance between two people. But here is where many men make a critical mistake. The moment they sense distance, they react with urgency. They try to fix everything immediately. They demand answers. They chase reassurance. And without realizing it, their reaction can sometimes create even more pressure in the relationship. But emotionally disciplined men understand something different. They recognize that every relationship goes through emotional waves, and instead of reacting with panic, they begin by observing. They ask themselves calm questions. What has changed recently? Has stress entered one person's life? Has communication slowly weakened over time? Or has the relationship simply reached a point where deeper honesty is needed? This ability to observe before reacting can completely change the outcome of the situation. History offers a powerful example of how patience and emotional awareness can protect a relationship rather than damage it. When Winston Churchill was facing the enormous pressures of leading Britain during the war, the weight of responsibility often followed him home. His wife, Clementine Churchill, noticed that the stress of leadership was making him distant, impatient, and difficult to approach. Instead of confronting him publicly or reacting emotionally, she wrote him a thoughtful letter. In it, she gently explained that his behavior had begun to create tension around him and that the people who supported him were starting to feel discouraged. She did not accuse him, she did not attack his character, she simply pointed out the emotional shift she had observed. Churchill later admitted that the letter deeply affected him, not because it criticized him, but because it helped him see something he had been too overwhelmed to notice. And because of her calm approach, the conversation strengthened their relationship instead of damaging it. This story reveals an important truth. Relationships often change slowly, long before anyone speaks openly about the problem. But the way those moments are handled can determine whether the connection weakens or grows stronger. And emotionally disciplined men understand that silence in a relationship is not always a threat. Sometimes it is simply a signal that something beneath the surface needs attention. And the men who learn to recognize these signals early gain something powerful: the ability to respond with clarity instead of fear. The moment before a relationship changes is rarely dramatic. It usually arrives quietly. In fact, many people only recognize it after the relationship has already shifted. It might look like something simple. A conversation that used to last an hour now ends in 10 minutes. A message that once received excitement now receives a short reply. Plans that once felt natural now feel like effort. None of these moments seem significant on their own. But together, they form a pattern. And patterns reveal the emotional direction of a relationship. The problem is that most men misread this moment. Instead of observing the pattern, they focus on fixing the symptom. They send more messages. They try harder to entertain. They become more available. And sometimes they unknowingly create the exact pressure that pushes the other person further away. But emotionally disciplined men approach this moment differently. They do not rush to control the situation. They create space to understand it. Because when emotional distance appears, the real question is not, why is she changing? The real question is, what is this moment revealing about the relationship? A simple but powerful story illustrates this perfectly. A man once shared a story about the early years of his marriage. For a long time, he and his wife had a routine. Every evening after work, they would sit together and talk about their day. Sometimes the conversations were deep, sometimes they were light, but that small habit kept their connection alive. Then slowly, life became busier. Work responsibilities increased, deadlines piled up. And without either of them realizing it, their evening conversations became shorter. Instead of talking for an hour, they talked for 15 minutes. Then 10. Eventually, some evenings passed without a real conversation at all. The man initially thought nothing of it. He believed they were simply tired. But weeks later, he began to feel something subtle. A distance he could not fully explain. One evening, instead of ignoring the feeling, he asked a calm question. He said, "Do you feel like we've been drifting a little lately?" His wife paused, and after a moment, she admitted something honest. She had felt the same thing. Both of them had been so focused on responsibilities that they had slowly stopped nurturing the connection that once came naturally. That conversation changed everything. Not because it solved every problem immediately, but because it allowed them to see the shift before it became a serious fracture. They began protecting that small habit again. A short walk after dinner, 20 minutes without phones, simple conversations that rebuilt emotional closeness. And over time, the distance disappeared. The relationship did not collapse because of the silent shift. It grew stronger because someone noticed the signal early. This is the deeper lesson many people miss. A relationship rarely changes because of a single dramatic moment. It changes through small emotional signals that appear long before the final outcome becomes obvious. And the people who learn to recognize those signals gain a powerful advantage. They can choose their response with clarity instead of reacting from fear, and they respond with awareness. And that awareness often becomes the difference between a relationship quietly fading or quietly becoming stronger than before. When a relationship begins to shift, most people focus on the other person. They ask questions like, why is she changing? Did I do something wrong? Is the relationship ending? But emotionally disciplined men eventually realize something important. The silent shift in a relationship is not only revealing the other person, it is revealing you. It reveals how you respond to uncertainty. It reveals whether you react with fear or with calm clarity. Because when emotional distance appears, many men panic. They try to control the situation. They chase reassurance. They push for answers before the other person has even had time to understand their own emotions. But strong men approach the moment differently. They stay grounded, they remain observant, and they allow truth to reveal itself instead of forcing it. History gives us a fascinating example of this kind of emotional strength through the relationship between Marcus Aurelius and his wife Faustina the Younger. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the most powerful empires in the ancient world. But like many leaders, his life was filled with rumors, criticism, and political intrigue. Throughout history, there were whispers and stories questioning Faustina's loyalty during certain periods of their marriage. Many powerful men in his position would have reacted with anger or public punishment. After all, Roman emperors held absolute authority. But Marcus Aurelius responded very differently. Instead of reacting emotionally or humiliating his wife publicly, he chose restraint, he chose patience, and he chose to focus on maintaining stability in both his household and his empire. Whether the rumors were true or exaggerated by political enemies, his response reflected the philosophy he lived by. The philosophy of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius believed that reacting impulsively to every accusation or emotional disturbance only created more chaos. Instead, he practiced calm judgment and emotional discipline. And that discipline protected not only his reputation, but also the dignity of the people around him. This does not mean he ignored reality. It means he refused to let emotions dictate his actions. And that mindset offers a powerful lesson for modern relationships, because when a relationship begins to shift, there are only two paths a person can take. One path is reaction, fear, desperation, trying to force things back to the way they once were. The other path is calm strength, the willingness to face the truth without losing self-respect, because sometimes the silent shift in a relationship is an invitation to grow closer. And sometimes it is simply revealing that two people are moving in different directions. But in either case, the most powerful thing a man can protect is not the relationship itself. It is his character, his ability to remain calm, his ability to act with dignity, and his ability to walk forward with clarity no matter what the outcome may be. So if there is one lesson to remember from today's conversation, it is this: the silent sign before a relationship changes is not something to fear. It is something to observe, because the way you respond to that moment will reveal more about your strength than the relationship itself. If this message spoke to you today, write this in the comments: I choose clarity over fear. And if you are part of the Stoic Golden Tribe, make sure you subscribe, because in the next episode, we will explore something many people never understand until much later in life. Why strong, emotionally disciplined men often make insecure people uncomfortable, even when they say nothing at all.